You are greater than a god. Untouchable.
Welcome to my final and perfected version of the build. As you can see, the clear speed is now insane and absolute in the top tier. I have also killed tier 4 bosses, and I do this with SSF gear, so in trade you can certainly surpass me if you put some effort into it. I have started using Sliver Tongue. I was lucky enough to find one and corrupt it with an additional arrow, and it is amazing for clear, and it's also the highest crit base bow that you can use. So hard to roll a Gemini with both good damage and high base crit. So it is probably the best option. From what I hear from people, it's still cheap in trade, and even if not, you can probably buy a bunch of normals and ball them. So going into some variations here that I found for the Poisonburst arrow. First of all, when you look at the DPS, you shouldn't look at the tooltip DPS. Ideally use POB, but then again, not every gem works yet in POB either. But look at the Poisonburst damage numbers here. First I thought concentrated effect doesn't work because it does not update the tooltip here. But it does update the Poisonburst itself. So with that said, always check here or properly in POB. So for clear, for every situation I like Deadly Poison and Overextend, since it's a crit build. Then Martial Tempo, it's pretty much a fixture. It's very nice for clear. It can become worth 0 DPS if you find yourself constantly at max poison stacks. But on the other hand, if you can constantly spam, it's probably not a hard boss. And the harder the boss, the less time you will have to get a few arrows off and build stacks. So I think overall it is very, very good. And then comes, what should you fill the last slots in for clear? And if you have Sliver Tongue, you have Fork and Pierce, which gives it this amazing clear. If you don't have Sliver Tongue, you should absolutely pick Fork. If you use, or if you just use an even stronger, like mirror tier Gemini bow. So Fork support is a fixture for Gemini. Then I really like mobility, since I spec running assault. So with mobility, even if I have not picked the other passives for freedom of movement and unhindered right now, I still felt I needed the damage. I can move and shoot at very decent speed. So you dodge most boss mechanics and so on by just moving, and it increases your clear so much to move forward while shooting and killing stuff. Move forward, blink, etc. So I really like mobility for clear. However, for bosses, these are probably the best options, since the only reliable way to stack Wither that I have found is Withering Presence. Close combat is actually quite good, since you have to be close anyway. But if you find yourself wanting to not be near, then it's obviously not any good. Execute is an honorable mention now, because it was buffed, and low life is 35%, so this will average 17.5% more damage. And even better, if a boss sometimes has an immunity phase or a little pause, or you're really quick at swapping, you can swap it in, and then obviously it will be the best gem at low HP. And furthermore, many bosses become harder the last few percent, so it's worth more than it sounds. Comorbidity, I don't use this for clear. I used to, but I found that it does next to nothing. The poison that spreads is only 1, and you often don't stack up enough for it to matter on mapping. It feels better to just add in more pure damage. For bosses, surely it must be worth the most, since you increase 33% more amounts of poisons. Then again, you have hit damage, so it's hard to calculate exactly how much worth, but it should be fixed slot for bosses. Unless you use Snakebite, in which case it can get phased out, because relatively it will be worth less to have more stacks if you have already 8 stacks. If you go from 6 to 8, it's 33% more poisons, right? If you go from 8 to 10, it's just 25% more. And since the poison damage isn't all the damage, it's going to be slightly less. Concentrated effect, not so good for clear, because the penalty is quite big now, but it is best for bossing. So those are mainly bossing gems. Here are the nice ones for clear. You have a playstyle where you don't constantly push into the mobs. I know many people like to hang back, clear everything methodically, then move on, and so on. Then long shot is for sure the best gem. Pinpoint critical will be the best gem until you have high crit chance or sliver tongue and so on, so you can get really high crit without it. If I add this, it will not add much to my DPS. So I have passed the point of swapping it out. Heft is always a good option since it works in every situation. Middle ground between close combat and long shot gives less damage than both, but it works in any situation, clearing, close range, long range. It doesn't give 30% more since it's just maximum. It gives something like 12, 13, I don't know. Since you don't increase the minimum damage and it's somewhere in between. Fork, again, Gemini bow, use it for clear. And mobility, personal choice if you want to have maximum movement for pushing forward. The better your gear gets, the better it gets, because you will simply just walk forward and hold down the button while blinking forward. So yeah, that's it for the gems. I have updated all of this in POB, of course. I'll just go through what I found in the end for auras and skills. Despair with all the usual suspects. Hexbloom optional. You can put it down on rituals and so on, but it increases the mana cost. Fine Arrow, Swift Affliction, Font of Rage. Again, this is if you stand near the boss, near the font, it will give you damage. If you hang out at range, it's going to be pretty useless. Cambrons, Hit and Run for quick casting, and the new Reach actually works on the vines. Or even more radius. And the accuracy doesn't matter. Wind Dancer, Main Blind, Venom. Ghost Dance, Fast Forward, Precision. And Precision is very good for this build. It's the first extra Spirit Aura I would fit when you have 10 spare Spirit. Because the Poisonburst arrows has a very big penalty to hitting at range. So even more accuracy would be good. Very hard penalty on long range. Withering Presence, Persistence does wonders for it. Makes it stack to 35-40-ish% at high level. I have mine at 18. Can possibly take it to 19. Herbalism is another filler. Life Flask. Plague Bearer, same as before. Try to hit level 20. It doesn't scale well over 20. But it's still worthwhile to have these gems. But the priority is hit level 20. Scales incredibly good until 20. Then fill out the other stuff. Astral Projection makes it ranged. Unbreakable makes it much more consistent so you don't get stunned when you cast it. And Magnified Effect to make it larger. And again, Chaos Mastery for even more skill levels. Poisonburst, done. Blink, Ingenuity. And the higher level the blink, the longer the range. So I also have shield charge. And you can still combine these if you set your shield charge to only number 2 and blink to only be active on the main set with a bow. So then I can shoot, I can blink, but I can shield charge after because I have put an extra charge in the shield charge. I have the absolute top tier mobility without having temporalis. Second wind in shield charge. What you can do is for transport, you actually have 2 shield charges. I want to go here, now I want to go here. And since I have disabled blink on the shield charge set, I can dodge roll after the shield charge. So it's very neat. And for just combat, shoot, shoot, blink, shoot, 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 blink, etc. While moving at high speed. I think it's the best setup for any skill the Pathfinder can use, but personal choice, I guess. So quickly, the gear again. Sliver Tongue is amazing for clear. It's very decent for single target as well because of the high base crit. To beat this, you need a really good Gemini bow. Something with also base crit. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use these gloves. Wherever they have ended up. There. North Paw. That gives you a decent base crit of 7%. And it is, however, fairly useless stat-wise, so it's very, very good to have Sliver Tongue or a Gemini bow with high base crit, like this one I've managed to make. Without it, it becomes even harder to fit stuff. You obviously can't use Snakebite. It will be really hard to fit your resists. There's no way I could have fit Ingenuity without having crit on the bow and so on. So, Gemini bow or any other bow with additional arrow, high base crit, high physical damage. Everything else is secondary, like attack speed can do nothing. If you max your poison stacks, it might do nothing. Additional skills are heavily nerfed. It's decent, but it's not as good. Critical damage, very good as well. When you use CI, you can have Ming's Heart without the life penalty. And you can even have 2 of them. So this is straight up 40% multiplier to the entire build. And the reduced defenses only reduces percent. It's not less. It's just you lose 1 node basically of ES. And you can have 2 of them. It's very hard to fit with resist. In trade I could have easily done it by now. It's just that in SSF I just don't have the configuration of items that fit together. So I still use Ingenuity with a very strong othering. But 2 Ming's Heart is ideal if you can fit everything together. Headhunter for clear, Ingenuity for bosses. Physical damage, attack speed, resist, stats, whatever you need, just fill it out. Again, double Ming or stat resist fist rings. For the amulet, it's very nice to have spirit, evasion, energy shield, crit chance. Projectile skills are still okay. Whatever resist stats you need, and so on. Helm again, very important to have high energy shield because of the subterfuge mask. Passive. This gives large part of the build's evasion, and I have some decent evasion with considering I'm invested in energy shield and CI. CI was also changed to give bleed immunity. So immune to bleeds. Chest. Highest possible energy shield, stats, spirit if it fits. This is a good one. Quiver, physical damage, damage with both skills, projectiles, crit damage, attack speed is also good. You can have arrow speed. If you have arrow speed, you need to spec feathered fletching. And if you do, there are some nice options here. This is a very good talent for clear. Not so good for bosses if you stay near with withering presence, so I removed it. I had it in the previous iteration of the build. But if you have an amazing quiver with feathered fletching and high percentage, it's probably worth to go here as well. And this is the best reduced movement speed penalty node on the tree. So if you path here anyway, you're not that far away. Should be it for gear. I always use a stun charm, and they are going to be buffed in the next patch, I think, at least, because they mentioned some charms don't work when you take the first hit, so you become stunned. Then you are immune to stun for some time. I'm not sure if this was the one they intended to change, but it feels like you have your charm up and you can still get stunned anyway. So, moving on to the tree, I mainly want to mention the nodes that Pob and I have agreed on are the best ones to flip between. So I really like this freedom of movement, so I can have the full movement speed as I've shown. I don't have them right now, but the intention is for a fully endgame geared character to have one or both of these and the mobility gem to be able to move at max speed while shooting. And they obviously give no damage. So the nodes that do give damage, if you have very low percent damage on your quiver, for example, this is going to be slightly higher than the crit nodes. You have high crit chance, Throat Seeker is going to be one of the highest. If you have bad crit chance, then Careful Assassin is going to be top. So I keep flipping between mainly those three if I need spare points. And the minor nodes here I fill out with spare points as well, because they are kind of overpowered, evasion and energy shield. Like picking almost major node for every little point. Compare it to evasion. This is an optional point for movement speed. I have it right now. The filler. This is also optional. It's if you want a bit more evasion or not. For 1 point, it's kind of good. And as before, don't go CI until you are sure you have good gear for it. Once you switch to CI, you will have maximum life of 1, and that will be your ailment threshold. Every mob will stun you, every mob will freeze you, every mob will chill you. So you have to solve those problems. And you solve them stun by getting jewels like these. If you have a few of them, you will suddenly have higher stun threshold than you ever had with life. The freeze you solve with this node, which will give you again pretty much immunity to freeze. You will get frozen by clicking strong boxes and maybe some cold boss hit, and that's it. I've never gotten frozen on a map ever with and high energy shield. Gives, what is it? 50% of energy shield, and then it increases it 30%. So in general, you will have higher freeze threshold than any life build can have. So those are pretty important things. Now, I have covered everything else and the basics in the previous videos if you watch them, but in broad terms, if you level, take the poison nodes, don't take the crit nodes until you can fill out your gear with crit in the early endgame sometime, and then it's your choice if you want to take the energy shield and defensive nodes, or if you want to be more glass cannony and just go straight to crit. I went poison and then crit, and then I started filling out some defense in the end game when the X+ started to make a difference. So that should be the progression path. Just go here, here. You will not have a good energy shield helm early, so just keep going. Take the attack nodes early to have some sort of power spike. It's very decent to take the accuracy rating here and the movement speed here early on. Well, and this is no good until you have CI, because you will not always be on full or low life. CI that makes this good. So just keep going, fill out more poison nodes, and yeah, then you should be up and running. So that should be it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I try to always answer the comments, at least within a day or so, and you can always ask me on stream. So thank you for watching, and see you later.